on the troop ship, and our outfit was in reserve, and so by the time our wave was called, we knew that unlike most other Marine landings, we hadn't been met by a hail of bullets, so we were kind of assured of getting on shore without any problem. And I remember calling the wave and getting on the rope and climbing down, and you could see the landing craft was pitching in the waves down below us, and you could smell the hot grease of the motor. He'd been making a lot of trips. And so jumped in the landing craft, and we waited for it to fill up, and in we went. And they lowered the thing, and there's no fire, no gunfire. We just kind of walked in, you know, waded into shore. And I remember we started inland. The guy next to me kind of looked over and grinned and said, "Boy, this is duck soup." And that's what we thought it was. And unlike the other landings, they weren't waiting for us. They were waiting for us to come to them. They were well dug in wherever they were. And of course, by the time it was all over, I read that 25,000 American troops lost their lives and 100,000 Japanese. So the show was just beginning. I think we went 2 days without hearing a shot fired in our anger, you know. And the first time it came, we went out on a little patrol and ran into a little opposition with some knee mortars and whatnot, and wiped what few people there were there, and set up camp kind of beneath a kind of a ridge. And that night we got our first artillery shelling, and that you could feel the clods coming down on top of you, and our mortars fired back, and it was over after a little while. But all of a sudden we knew that it wasn't going to be the picnic. It had been up for the first 2 days, so that was the first firing we were underwent. Yeah. Story I probably remember best is at Sugarloaf Hill, which was on the way to the southern tip of the island, and there's two hills. They kind of like pimples in the land. There's kind of outcroppings in fields, and one was called Sugarloaf, and there's a railroad track running, and there's another across the tracks with one called Half Moon, and it was there that I got wounded myself, but I kind of will never forget it, because our troops, our forward element was already on Sugarloaf Hill, and the rest of us we kind of lined up in a row, kind of in prone position, waiting to see what we were going to do next. And I was right next to a fellow I didn't know well. I was a company scout, so we were out of headquarters battalion. We were assigned different companies to work with, and so we worked with them in maneuvers, but we stayed with our own group in the headquarters company. So this was a fellow I knew by sight, but not well, and it just so happened he was on my left and I was on his right, and it could have been just as easily the other way around. So we were waiting there, and all of a sudden, somehow the Japanese got around to our flank, and the next thing I knew, there was machine guns, bullets flying, and I could hear them thumping right into this fella, thunk, 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 and I just got a small flesh wound in my forearm, and I've often wondered, you know, why him and why not me? And I keep asking, you know, I've been asking that question to myself for 65 years. I still don't have an answer.